Hello my dear students, how are you? I hope all are good. Today let me start SST chapter number 5, the establishment of British power. So first of all, learning outcome, trade wars, the Portuguese in India, the founding of the British rule in India, growth of British influence. मतलब इस चैप्टर का ये है पर्पस कि इस्टेब्लिशमेंट कैसे जो है ब्रिटिश शक्ति जो है हमारे यहाँ इंडिया में कैसे उनका स्थापना हुई, कैसे वो यहाँ पे आके उन्होंने अपना कब्जा जमाया. ओके, सो सिंस एंशियंट टाइम्स इंडिया वाज एन इम्पोर्टेंट ट्रेडिंग सेंटर. बहुत प्राचीन समय में क्या था, हमारा भारत जो था एक ट्रेडिंग मतलब एक व्यापार केंद्र था. बहुत अच्छा यहाँ व्यापार बिजनेस होता था. ठीक है, तो बहुत ही मतलब कहते हैं ना एक सोने की चिड़िया कहा जाता है, आप लोगों ने सुना होगा. सो मर्चेंट एंड ट्रेडर्स फ्रॉम यूरोप एंड एशिया विजिटेड इंडिया रेगुलरली. तो जो मर्चेंट होते थे एशिया और यूरोप के, वो यहाँ पे रेगुलर विजिट करते थे व्यापार के लिए. ठीक है, द फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑफ ट्रेड इंक्रीज इन द मेडिवल पीरियड. इंडिया हैड अ फ्लोरिशिंग ट्रेड विद द यूरोप, अफ्रीका, मिडिल ईस्ट एंड साउथ ईस्ट एशिया. सो देयर वॉज अ ग्रेट डिमांड फॉर इंडियन स्पाइसेस, सिल्क, टेक्सटाइल. तो भारत में क्या क्या चीज़ें फेमस थी? मसाले, सिल्क है ना, और टेक्सटाइल्स, मुस्लिन, साल्टपीटर, इंडिगो, पर्ल्स, प्रीशियस स्टोन्स एट्सेट्रा. इतनी सारी चीज़ों का यहाँ पे व्यापार होता था. सो इन यूरोप व्हेन Constantinople was occupied by the Ottoman Turks in 1453, the land route between India and Europe was practically closed. So there arose the necessity of finding a new route to India. ट्रेड वार्स, अब जो है व्यापारी युद्ध कैसे हुआ? द पोर्टुगीज इन इंडिया, व्यापार के लिए. द पोर्टुगीज वर द फर्स्ट टू फाइंड अ न्यू अल्टरनेटिव सी रूट टू इंडिया. प्रिंस हेनरी द नेविगेटर ऑफ पुर्तगाल patronized navigators and trained seamen on scientific lines. Okay, Bartholomew Dias reached the southern tip of Africa known as the Cape of Good Hope in 1487. So 10 years later, Vasco da Gama moved past Cape of Good so Hope and reached Calicut in India in 1498, where he was cordially received by King Zamorin. He visited India again in 1501 and set up a factory of a cannon. The Portuguese were able to establish their trading centers at Calicut, Cochin and Cano de Almeida. 509 was the first viceroy of the Portuguese possessions in India. So after his death, okay, 1509 to 1515 became the second viceroy who captured and annexed Goa in 1510. So which became the headquarters of the Portuguese Empire in India. He built a fort at Cochin. He conquered Malacca in the far east and in 1515. So conquered Ormuz Island in the Persian Gulf. So in fact he was the founder of Portuguese Empire in India. The Portuguese conquered Diu and Bessin in 1534 and Daman in 1538. So they got permission to establish a factory at Goa. They fortified their settlements and assumed right of self-government soon. So these Portuguese settlements became centers of lawlessness and nests of pirates. So these possessions become an integral part of the kingdom of Portugal. Okay, so the success of Portuguese traders in India led to made scramble among various European powers for a share of trade and profit. So trading companies were formed in these countries with the support of their respective governments. Thus English, Dutch, French and Danish trading companies were formed in the 17th century. So with passage of time, the Portuguese were forced to surrender the monopoly of the eastern trade to their European rivals. The Dutch East India Company. The Dutch merchants formed their company in 1592 in 1595. So Cornelis de Houtman reached Indonesia and returned with some pots of peppercorns and very nearly broke. Soon many of the trading companies came into existence. In 1602, all the Dutch companies were amalgamated into the Dutch East India Company. So they concentrated their attention on the Spice Island. So Indonesia in the far east. Okay, so the Dutch conquered Malacca from the Portuguese in 1641 and acquired Ceylon, presently Sri Lanka, in 1658 in India. So they occupied Nagapattinam on the Madras coast and Chinsura in Bengal. So however, the Dutch presence in India was insignificant. So the Danes in India, encouraged by the other European merchants, the Danes too wished to be a part of Indian trade. So they established a settlement and Tranquebar in Tanjore district in 1620. In 1676, they occupied Serampur. However, they could not find a firm foothold in India. Finally, they sold their settlements to the British in 1845 and returned home. The English East India Company. After the defeat of Spanish Armada in 1588, the English became a supreme naval power in Europe. A group of English merchants formed a company called East India Company to trade with the East. So on 31st December 1600, Queen Elizabeth granted a charter to the company to trade in the East Indies. So Captain Hawkins landed at Surat in India in 1612 and sought permission to set up a factory at Surat. वहाँ पे सूरत में फैक्ट्री को वहाँ पे वो सेटअप लगाना चाहता था उसका. So in 1615, Sir Thomas Roy visited Jahangir's court and secured certain trading concessions for the English company from the Mughal emperor. Okay, so the English also set up their trading stations at Aramgaon and Masulipatnam. So the English company bought the site of Madras in 1639 and also obtained permission to set up a fortified factory called Fort St. George in 1633. Factories were set up at Balasore and Hariharpur and at Hooghly in 1651. So in 1661, the company obtained the island of Bombay from Charles II. So at a nominal rent, and it was fortified. In 1668, they secured permission from Aurangzeb to build a factory on the site of Calcutta. So Job Charnock led the foundation of Calcutta at Sultanati by building a factory there. So it was fortified in 1698 and was called Fort William. By a farman from the Mughal emperor in 1770, the English company got the right to trade freely in Bengal and also to settle around Calcutta. बहुत आराम से मज़े से फ्रीली वो अपना जो है क्या कर रहे थे, कंपनी का सेटअप लगाने में बिजी थे. सो द कंपनी मेड प्रोग्रेस एंड एलिमिनेटेड इट्स राइवल्स इन इंडिया. सो इट टुक एडवांटेज ऑफ द अनस्टेबल पॉलिटिकल कंडीशंस prevailing in India and succeeded in establishing British rule in India. The French East India Company. In 1664, French East India Company was formed in December 1667. The first French factory was established at Surat by Francis Caron, the Director General of the company. So another factory was set up at Masulipatnam in 1672. Francis Martin was appointed as the Director General, who became one of the real founders of the French company in India. So he founded the settlement of Pondicherry under a grant from the ruler of Bijapur. Okay, so the French also established their settlements at Chandler Nagar, Balasore and Kasim Bazar on the east coast and Mahe on the west coast. So in 1739, they established Karaikal on the Coromandel coast. So the French company had its headquarters in Pondicherry. It had its naval base in the Indian Ocean in the Mauritius and Reunion Island, which were far away from India. So although the French were the last to arrive in India, yet they became the only rival of the English in the region. Their intense rivalry resulted in the three Carnatic Wars in the founding of the British rule in India. भारत में जो है ब्रिटिश शासन कैसे हुआ? The Carnatic Wars. The British journey towards the pinnacle of power in India began from the south in the first Carnatic War 1746-1748. Dupleix got his first victory against Nawab Anwaruddin of Akot. From the military point of view, it was a small battle, but its historical significance was profound. So in 1748, after the death of Nizam of Hyderabad, a war of succession erupted among his sons. A similar contest also ensued between the sons of the Nawab of Akot. In both the contests, the French and the British sided wars with opposing claimants in the first round of the conflict, which came to be known as the Second Carnatic War, 1749 to 1754. So the French, under the leadership of Dupleix, the French governor of Pondicherry, succeeded in placing their candidates on the thrones of Hyderabad and Arcot. So with the second victory, Dupleix, as ambitions soared further, but the intervention of Robert Clive, a brave employee of the English East India Company, changed the British fortune. In 1752, Clive succeeded in capturing Arcot from the French and putting the British candidate on the throne. So his further successes during the course of the Third Carnatic War saw the British emerge as the strongest European power in India. After the Carnatic Wars, the theatre of conflict shifted to Bengal. In 1757, the French lost Chandler Nagar in Bengal to the British. In the same year, Clive laid the foundation of the British Empire in India by defeating Siraj-ud-Dowla, the Nawab of Bengal, in the Battle of Plassey. Okay, now read about Battle of Plassey in 1757. The Battle of Plassey was fought between the English and Siraj-ud-Dowla and the Nawab of Bengal in 1757. On June 23, 1757, the two respective armies met at Plassey. दो आर्मी. ओके, सो द ब्रिटिश फोर्सेस वर लेड बाय रॉबर्ट क्लाइव. ठीक है, किसके अंडर में थी वो? रॉबर्ट क्लाइव के अंडर में थी. मीर जाफर, द कमांडर इन चीफ ऑफ द नवाब एंड अ लार्ज सेक्शन ऑफ द नवाब्स आर्मी, डिड नॉट टेक पार्ट इन द बैटल. सो जगत सेठ, द रिचेस्ट बैंकर ऑफ बंगाल, also refused to help the Nawab. So it was a decisive battle which had far-reaching consequences. So the Nawab was defeated, captured, and Mir Jafar was made the Nawab. So he was a mere a puppet in the hands of the English. Okay, who became the virtual rulers of Bengal. The English got the right to free trade in Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha, and got the territory of 24 Parganas. So the resources of Bengal helped the English to defeat their European rivals. Thus, the Battle of Plassey led the foundation of the British Empire in India and paved the way for the British mastery over the Indian subcontinent. Next था बैटल ऑफ बक्सर. पहले प्लासी में हुआ युद्ध, फिर उस बक्सर का 1764 में. मीर जाफर वॉज ए मेयर पपेट इन द हैंड्स ऑफ द इंग्लिश. जो मीर जाफर था वो कठपुतली बन गया था अंग्रेजों के हाथों की. ठीक है, अब द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ रनिंग the administration lay on his shoulders, but he had no powers. So the English charged him with the neglect of administration and deposed him. In 1760, his son-in-law Mir Qasim was made the Nawab of Bengal. So he was an able, efficient and strong ruler. He formed an alliance with Shuja-ud-Dowla, so the Nawab of Awadh, and Shah Alam, the Mughal emperor. So the Battle of Buxar was fought between the English and the combined forces of Mir Qasim, Shah Alam and Shuja-ud-Dowla. So the combined armies of the three clashed with the English at Buxar on October 22. 764, where they were badly defeated. Historians have attached great importance to the Battle of Buxar. It was not merely the Nawab of Bengal who was defeated in this battle, but also the Mughal Emperor of India. It gave the English an opportunity to bring the northwestern frontier of the Subh under the control. Subha under the control. Treaty of Allahabad. So when? In 1765. So Clive entered into a treaty with Nawab Shuja-ud-Dowla, who surrendered Allahabad and Kara to the company and also agreed to pay 50 lakh rupees as war indemnity. Mir Qasim was deposed and Mir Jafar was made the Nawab once again. So in 1765, Clive signed the Treaty of Allahabad with the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. So by this treaty, the Mughal Emperor was taken under the company's protection and was granted an annual pension of 26 lakh rupees in return for a farman, which granted the company the Diwani or Bengal, Bihar and Odisha, now Odisha in perpetuity. So this treaty marked the end of the Nawab's authority in Bengal and led to the establishment of the dual government there. So by this system, the Nawab looked after the administration of law and order, whereas the company kept the charge of collecting the revenue in its own hand. कौन सा revenue था? Land revenue. In brief, the Nawab was given responsibility without any power and the company enjoyed power without any responsibility. अब क्या था, मतलब पावर, शासक तो वो था लेकिन कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी विदाउट एनी पावर, उसके ऊपर जिम्मेदारियां थी लेकिन पावर उसके हाथ में नहीं थी. पावर का इस्तेमाल कौन करते थे? अंग्रेज उसकी पावर का यूज़ करते थे. ठीक है. ग्रोथ ऑफ ब्रिटिश इन्फ्लुएंस. Warren Hastings was appointed as the governor of Bengal in 1772. He abolished the dual administration system and took over the entire administration of Bengal. So he also stopped the emperor's annual grant. He also took away Allahabad and Kara from the emperor and sold these territories to the Nawab of Awadh because he wanted to make Awadh a strong buffer state between the company's territories and that of the Marathas. Mysore War. Lord Cornwallis consolidated the foundation laid by his predecessor Hastings. He waged a war against Mysore where Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan had risen in the power. So by the time Cornwallis arrived in India, so the first 1766 and 1769 and second 1780 to 1784, Anglo-Mysore War had already been fought. So Tipu's policy of seeking help from the French and the Turks appeared too dangerous to British interests. When Tipu invaded the tiny kingdom of Travancore in 1789, Cornwallis retaliated and this led to the Third Anglo-Mysore War. So the Marathas and the Nizam also joined the war on the side of the British. So this war 1790-1792 lasted for 2 years. It was difficult for Tipu to take on the combined forces of his enemies. So by the Treaty of Seringapatnam 1792, Tipu surrendered half of his territory to his enemies and paid 3 million pounds as war compensation. So he was also forced to accept subsidiary alliance, but he refused. He continued his efforts to modernize his army with the help of the French. So this led to the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War in 1799. Tipu died fighting while defending his capital. So a large portion of the kingdom of Mysore was merged with the British Empire. The conquest of Mysore was the most brilliant success of the British power. So in every discipline of war and diplomacy, the British proved themselves superior to the valiant rulers of Mysore. The British Empire now extended from one end of the Deccan to the other. Subsidiary alliance. Lord Wellesley 1798-1805, the successor of Lord Cornwallis, came to the India with the intention to transform the British Empire in India into the British Empire of India. So to achieve his goals, he devised the policy of subsidiary alliance. The principles of this alliance was simple. One, the Indian rulers who were invited to join this alliance were expected not to fight or keep any contact with any other power without the permission of the. Number two, to maintain internal peace and order in subsidiary state, the British would station an army under the control of the British generals. The Indian state would either surrender a portion of its territory to the company or would pay an annual amount. In return, the company would protect the subsidiary state against external invasion. So the Nizam of Hyderabad was the first Indian power to accept the subsidiary alliance. Anglo-Maratha War. It took the British 43 years, 1775-1818, to subjugate the Marathas after their defeat in the Third Battle of Panipat. 1761, the Marathas had started rising again under the leadership of Madhav Rao I. And Mahaji Sindhia, Maratha chiefs were striving to become independent, but they lacked unity and Peshwa was powerless. है ना, क्या हुआ था इनमें? यूनिटी नहीं थी, इसीलिए तो अंग्रेजों ने फायदा उठाया इस चीज़ का. आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ माधव राव वन, द फोर्थ पेशवा इन 1772, a civil war ensued for succession to the throne. Raghunath Rao signed a treaty with the company's governor, while Nana Fadnavis sided with Governor General Hastings. Finally, Madhav Rao too was accepted by the Peshwa under the Treaty of Salbai, 1782. So in return, he had to cede Sylhet Island to the British. After the death of Nana Fadnavis in 1800, the Peshwa's power declined and the Maratha chiefs started to become dominant. Okay, so the combined forces of Sindhia and Bajirao too were defeated by the Holkars. So the Peshwa was reinstated on the throne of Pune by the Treaty of Basin. This treaty brought Marathas under total subjugation of the British. Lord Wellesley now planned to subjugate the Maratha chiefs. Gaikwad accepted subsidiary alliance of the British, while Bhosle and Sindhias were defeated in 1805 and had to accept subsidiary alliance. Odisha and the territories between the Ganga and the Yamuna were taken over by the. These victories made the British more powerful. The Rajput princes also entered into various treaties with the British out of fear. So Wellesley victory over the Marathas in 1803 made the British supreme power in India. The primary cause behind the Third Anglo-Maratha War 1817 to 1818 was the dissatisfaction of Peshwa Bajirao II. So with his subordinate position, he therefore tried to unite other Maratha chiefs to fight against the British. So the Gaikwad of Baroda was however not in favor. Okay, Elphinstone, the British resident of Pune, asked the Peshwa to enter into a new subsidiary alliance. The Gaikwad, the Bhosle and the Sindhia were made to sign fresh treaties with the British. Appa Sahib at Nagpur and Malhar Rao too at Indore were defeated by the British, and the Third Anglo-Maratha War came to an end in 1818. So the consequences of this war turned out to be disastrous for the Marathas. The office of the Peshwa was abolished and his entire territory was taken over by the British. A descendant of Chhatrapati Shivaji was put on the throne of Satara. Similarly, Appa Sahib was deposed and all his territories were taken over. So a minor son of Raghuji Bhosle too was put in his place in Nagpur. Malhar Rao too was forced to accept the subsidiary alliance. So thus the ascendancy of the British became absolute. Causes of the downfall of the Marathas. अब उनके जो है उनका downfall होने के कारण क्या थे? The Maratha were brave and fearless people who had a strong army. ठीक है ना, वो निडर साहसी और बहुत ही स्ट्रॉन्ग उनके पास सेना थी और बहुत बड़ा उनका एम्पायर था. येट दे कुड नॉट सक्सेड अगेंस्ट द ब्रिटिश फॉर सम ऑब्वियस रीजन. तो वो कौन कौन से रीजंस थे? दे लैक्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड यूनिटी नहीं थी उनके अंदर. देयर चीफ्स वर जेलस ऑफ ईच अदर. जो उनके मुखिया थे आपस में एक दूसरे से जेलस करते थे. दे डिड नॉट केयर फॉर फाइनेंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. सो दे वर मास्टर्स ऑफ गुरिल्ला वेरफेयर बट inept in pitched battles. So they lacked geographical knowledge, tact and diplomacy. So they did not care to train their army and neglected military organization, artillery and navy. Most of their leadership had died in the early 19th century. They had a narrow outlook, lacked national feelings and did not care for their subjects. They were engaged in fulfilling personal motives, hence they were extremely unpopular rulers. Anglo-Nepalese War. The Gorkhas of Nepal wanted to extend their territory to the North Indian plains, which directly affected the British interest in the region. Therefore, the Anglo-Nepalese War 1814 to 1860 became inevitable. Initially, the British suffered some reverse, but finally the Gorkha leader Amar Singh was defeated by the Treaty of Sagoli in 1816. The Gorkha surrendered Garhwal and Kumaon to the British. In the east, the Gorkha left Sikkim also, which became a British protectorate. They also accepted a British resident in Kathmandu. Annexation of Sindh. Sindh was ruled by a number of tribal chiefs who originally belonged to Baluchistan. In 1809, the English company signed a treaty with the Amirs by which the latter undertook not to allow any French settlement in Sindh. In 1832, another treaty was concluded between the English company and the Amir of Hyderabad, Sindh. So during the Afghan War, Sindh became the base of operations. Sir Charles Napier tried to impose fresh treaties on the Amirs of Sindh, which annoyed them, but they were defeated in 1843. Annexation of Punjab. The conquest of Punjab was necessary for the British to extend the frontiers of their empire in the northwest. After the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh There was utter political chaos and confusion in Punjab. Major Broadfoot, the political agent of the British, tried to divide the Sikh nobles and induced the Sikh army to cross the river Satluj. So by the Treaty of Amritsar, the river had been fixed as the boundary line between the British and Maharaja Ranjit Singh territories. So as soon as the Sikh army crossed the river, Lord Hardinge declared war. The First Anglo-Sikh War 1845 to 46 ended in the willful destructions of the Khalsa. So by the Treaty of Lahore in 1846, Maharaja Dalip Singh surrendered all his territories to the left of river Satluj and between the river Satluj and the Beas. He also ceded Jammu and Kashmir to pay for a huge war indemnity. The strength of his army was greatly reduced. A British resident was stationed at Lahore with a protection force. The peace settlement of 1846, however, fulfilled neither the imperialistic ambitions of the British nor satisfied the Sikhs. The Sikhs did not like the British interference in the internal affairs of Punjab. Lord Dalhousie was simply waiting for an opportunity to annex Punjab. The revolt in Multan gave him this opportunity. Thus followed the Second Anglo-Sikh War 1848 to 1849. So after a series of battles, the Sikh finally surrendered. The British annexed Punjab in 1849. Maharaja Dalip Singh was deported to England and given a pension. So the famous diamond Kohinoor was also taken away from him and presented to Queen Victoria. Annexation by the doctrine of lapse. After taking over as Governor General in 1848, Lord Dalhousie began the final stage of annexations. He devised a policy called the doctrine of lapse, which stated that if the ruler of a dependent state should die without any heir, his adopted son would not succeed him. So instead, the state would lapse or go back to the British company. So this doctrine of lapse was applied to annex Satara, Jaipur, Udaipur, Sambalpur, Nagpur, Magad and Jhansi. So Berar and Awadh annexed by him on the charges of malad administration. Similarly, he annexed Karnataka and Tanjore by abolishing the titles and pensions of their respective rulers. Causes of the defeat to the Indian states. Regional states which emerged after the disintegration of the Mughal Empire were small in size and weak in resources. Number 2, these states were engaged in constant fighting with each other. They were not united to fight against the British. Indian rulers did not provide a stable and efficient government to the people, hence could not win the loyalty of their subject. Many states like Hyderabad chose to seek protection under the British and willfully accepted to the subsidiary alliance. Britain was a great novel. All topics are covered in this chapter here. I hope you all are very well understand all this chapter. So we will meet in the next class. Thank you.